Welcome you all to this guest webinar, and today's webinar is on how to score a perfect 170 out of 170. So today's session is going to be by Muralidhar Sharma, and he is from Bisset College from Mumbai, and he is an engineering student. And he has scored a massive 170 out of 170 in GRE Quant, and in GRE Verbal he has scored 150, and overall he has scored a 320 in GRE. So this is a great score, and today we have with us Murli, and he'll be sharing his
Yeah, thank you, Manu. Ravikant, to answer your question, I'm doing great. It's a great experience to be able to share my thoughts about my score, about my experience with you guys. I hope I can give you some insight which will help you in the future.
Right. Actually, there are a lot of questions that students are asking. So I would like to reserve the questions until the end of the session so that Murli will share all of his tips. Some of your questions might get answered while he shares the tips. So we'll jump into the session. So now I'll be sharing a slide where Murli gave us a short written interview. So it will be of great use to you all.
Okay.
Okay, so Murli, please share about yourself.
Okay, so about me, I'm from Visit Vivekanand Education Society's Engineering College in Mumbai. I'm in my third year, sixth semester. Uh, I decided to give GRE during my last semester exams because the Mumbai University exams are a bit stretched, 31 days time approx for the exams. So during that time, I decided to prepare for the GRE so that in the future semesters there won't be any burden. That timing was given to me by my seniors. I listened to their advice. I joined the 45-day Galvanize course because I found their apps very helpful. Galvanize actually, I was using the vocab builder app for the last 1.5 month. I had been practicing regularly on it, and they had contacted me through that. And I liked the platform a lot. I gave the initial diagnostic test. I got a score of 308 in my diagnostic test, which basically meant that without any preparation, if I would have given GRE, I would have gotten a score close to 308. So I was a bit happy that a lot of my preparation is done already because I had heard from my seniors that they got 300, 305 on their seminars, on their initial tests, and that is when I thought that 45-day preparation would be sufficient for me given my current score. Even during the 45 days, I considered many times that 45 days would be too short a period of time, but in the end, it turns out 45 days is actually optimum time if you give your entire dedication towards the GRE exam. If you focus your efforts 4 to 5 hours a day is maximum what you have to give for GRE. 45 days, 4 to 5 hours a day is more than enough. The only thing you need before those 45 days is learning vocabulary because GRE vocabulary comes very easy to people who have already read many novels and stuff. There are people in my college who used to read a lot of novels from fourth standard, fifth standard, and those people are well equipped to handle GRE vocabulary. I was not actually very well to do with that, but the 45-day prep helped me to at least get somewhere in my GRE verbal. And regarding GRE Quants, which is the focus of most of this webinar, uh, GRE Quants comes very easy for engineering students, according to me, because engineering students have already been studying math at a very higher level compared to the GRE math. GRE maths comes very easy to you if you are genuinely good at maths in your 10th standard, because it is very close to 10th standard maths in the end. Uh, Getting perfect 170 was only because of practice. I used to solve about 40 to 50 quants questions every day because I enjoyed doing them, not because I actually gave more time or anything, because I enjoyed doing them a lot. Uh, which books should practice? Okay, again, I'm not the right person to answer that question. I feel Vinay and Nitin, because I actually only practiced on Galvanize. I didn't refer any books. There are many friends of mine who asked me to refer particular books. One of my friends actually has that ETS book, which he purchased from Amazon. So you can buy that book because it is comprehensively made for GRE. If you don't have much of an experience regarding quants, uh, the ETS book, the book by ETS, you just have to Google once. You'll get the first result would be that only, I think. Uh, that book is actually enough to know the portion. Okay, could you please? Okay, the only source I had for those 40 to 50 odd questions every day was the Galvanize app or the Galvanize website. The 45-day course actually gave me access to all the content, so I didn't have to go anywhere else to prepare for it. GRE prep is possible without joining any classes or anything, but joining something like Galvanize helps that you can stay at home, prepare very easily for that. You don't need to go to some classroom, sit attentively, attend each lecture with 100% attendance. That doesn't happen for most people. And
So,
40 to 50 odd
how about
questions.
your AWA, Muralidhar?
AWA. My AWA score is 4, which I feel is decent considering, again, that's what I've written, decent considering the colleges I'm applying to. Uh, I've read some papers that say that AWF 3.5 or more is more than enough to be considered for the good colleges. But an AWA score of 4.5 to 5 was my target. I was unable to reach that because I didn't practice enough for AWA. My AWA practice started a bit late, I think. In the 40 after, in the last 15 days, in fact, I practiced the AW questions. Before that, I did not do any questions. I actually read some essays online random by googling AWA essays and just reading them to get a hint as to how to frame the essay. Then on Galvanize, I saw the entire videos. Galvanize has put many good videos about AWS on YouTube as well. I saw those videos and I felt that I had the brief idea of how to frame the essay. Vinay, you have that question, a template. I guess for issue essay there is a template. The Galvanize video that I'm talking about, you just have to go to Galvanize YouTube channel, and you can find that. I think it was uploaded 2.5 months ago, so it is a recent video.
Sharing the playlist link with all of them.
For the argument essay, I don't think there's a template. There's a pattern that you can follow. That is also explained very well in that video. And regarding the 40 to 50 questions again, the source was Galvanized, but I never did questions on the same topic repeatedly because I find a few topics in maths very interesting, very catchy, as to say, um, like probability, permutations and combinations. I like solving such questions for fun, and that is why I actually ended up solving 40 to 50 questions a day. If I think a few days back, I checked the Galvanize app, the Galvanize test prep app. In that app, it showed that I had solved about 900 questions of quants and 450 questions of verbal. So I guess the less number of questions of verbal actually justify the score I got in verbal. But it is the 900 questions in the end that helped a lot in getting the 170 score. And once you start the GRE prep, you will start to notice this thing that is not available in any book, I feel, because a book does not give you your percentage accuracy after every question. The Galvanize app gave me that thing perfectly. That 78% of my questions in quants were going right, 22% were going wrong, which meant I had to reduce that number. And I worked day in and day out. In the end, I think 88-90% of my questions were right. Uh, but I improved it from 78 to 88. So in the end, if you see, my actual accuracy for the quants questions for the last 200 300 questions would have been very close to 90 98 99% because I had already solved so many questions. The Galvanize app has a limited number of questions, I think, because after towards the very end, the questions had started to repeat. But I think they are adding more and more questions day in and day out. So that for sure will keep on improving in the future. Did you?
Actually, we usually keep adding more words to the vocab app playlist, and also we add more questions to the GRE app lists.
Yes. So the app quality keeps on improving, as I said. And for how many days did I study religiously? So that is a good question. See, as I said, I started to prepare on 15th October and my GRE was on 30th December. So exactly 45 days I booked my GRE date on, I guess 1st December I booked my GRE date. Uh, the reason behind 1st December is that before 1st December I was busy with my end sem examinations. Uh, my fifth sem end examinations had begun on 20 October and they ended on 14th December. So if you think about it, actually, from 20th till 14th, I actually gave 2 to 3 days for GRE prep, then 2 to 3 days for my next exam, then 2 to 3 days for GRE prep, 2 to 3 days for next exam, and it was a pattern, a repetitive pattern till I guess 1st December. Till 1st December, half of my exams were over. Tension was less, so I could focus a lot more on the GRE. Because of I guess sidelining a lot towards GRE, my fifth sem pointer might not have been that great, but it doesn't matter because it actually helped me get a great GRE score at a good time. So that matters a lot, I feel.
So, Murli, please talk about why you wanted to study abroad and why did you decide to take the GRE? There are a lot of other exams also within India. There's a lot of scope within India, but why did you want to study abroad? And when you started to think about studying abroad, how did you decide on a target score and your dream university, or how did you decide on your course that you want to do? Please elaborate on that.
Okay, I guess it was my first year's end of my first year in engineering when I heard of GRE exam, GATE exams, and all kinds of exams. So I went to my seniors. I went to one of my seniors and asked him about it. I still remember his reply was something like, "GATE is for IIT, GRE is for abroad." So that was a clear and concise answer. After that answer, I began to explore what are the future opportunities in IITs, for masters in IITs. and I realized that it is again a repetition of JEE's race, that huge race of 12 lakh people trying to get into 10,000 seats, such low acceptance rates. And I realized that I don't want to engage myself in that again. So that was one thing that was clear to me. I also analyzed what kind of jobs are offered at my college, and I realized that it is about 10 to 12% of the students get actually very good jobs, but the other people are stuck in not so good companies. Again, I don't want to say anything negative about that, but those are not the opportunities that I wanted for myself in the future. So I wanted to open new doors. I wanted to be prepared with an alternative option going into the placements. So GRE initially was an option for me, not something that I actually aimed to be very good at. Then slowly as time progressed, I got in touch with a few more seniors who ended up going abroad, who ended up choosing MIS as a course. One of them, uh, I analyzed that my interest in engineering is a bit less than it should be, ideally, and my interest in management or other activities such like that is a lot higher. So I decided to focus a lot more. Okay, there are very detailed questions by Ashutosh.
Don't
Uh,
worry about that, Murli. I'm noting them down, so we will pick it up at the end of the session so that you can answer them.
okay, I'll focus on the answer for now.
Yeah.
Again, as I
So
said,
that is about how you settle down on a target score, because it will give you a direction. Otherwise, your preparation might seem
yeah,
endless.
yeah, yeah. So I asked my again. This was an advice given to my being by my seniors that 315 plus. You end up with a 315 plus in GRE. Your admit gets accepted. Your profile gets viewed, evaluated by the college. If you get less than 315, the top colleges don't even evaluate your profile. So basically, 315 was my bare minimum target, so that my profile is evaluated even at the best colleges. And slowly I learned that GRE score also is not just a filter, it also kind of acts like a catalyst to your selection if it is a very good score. So I began to explore what kind of a score would give me a perfect balance of both. So in the end, my target score was anywhere between 325 to 330. Clearly, I did not do well enough in verbal, or I would have ended up with that score. And regarding so the decision for MIS has varied over time because my interest in computer science has reduced. I'm in IT department. My engineering is in IT, and the interest in management has increased over time, and that is why I decided to go for MIS as a course. MBA again becomes too hectic because most of the colleges abroad want 3 to 5 years of work experience. And once I believe if I start working, it is going to be difficult to get back into that studying mode. So I decided that it is better to go right now and do as well as I can in life in the 2 years of masters, in the 2 years that I have left in engineering, to learn as much as I can in these 4 years, and then get into a job, competitive, get into a competitive environment.
Great. So, um, but I like every university actually looks for a particular profile, and if you have been planning so much on your target score and building your profile by doing internships and all, then there should be some driving factor like a dream university list that you should have seen. So please share about your dream universities and how did you shortlist these universities.
Okay, my dream university would be the first one mentioned here, Carnegie Mellon. Carnegie Mellon has one of the best. Again, this might seem a bit lame, but I referred the rankings of colleges, computer science rankings, and for computer science, Carnegie Mellon is the best university in US. But for MIS degrees, there were very few colleges. There were very few colleges of information, I would say, because MIS is offered by many MBA colleges also, management colleges, and most of those require at least 3 years of work experience, and that is why I cannot apply to them directly right now. So my target was colleges which have a good acceptance rate of freshers as well. So my number one university in that ranking was undoubtedly CMU, because CMU has one of the most huge campuses, amazing faculty, some of whom have written some amazing papers. I've read one of them, and the interest keeps on developing more and more. I read about the university more and more. I read the papers written by the professors there. My goal in the future would be to be a data analyst, maybe. Again, it keeps on changing from time to time. I don't know why, but it is that way for many people. Hmm. Okay, adaptive questions.
That's great. So I hope you would definitely get into Carnegie Mellon University, and it is one brilliant university. There is a lot of scope for different fields and different projects going on there, researches
Yes.
going on there. So it
Yeah.
will be a good opportunity for you if you can get into it.
Yeah.
So now coming to your GRE preparation strategy, because the GRE exam is a perfectly skill-based exam. It can't be cleared overnight, and it can't be it can't be mastered overnight. So there should
Yeah.
be a clear master plan or a strategy which must have helped you to reach this massive 320 score in your GRE. So please tell us about how did you first manage your college preparation and your like college work and your GRE preparation. And I'm surprised that you were left with 4 to 5 hours per day for your preparation without much planning. Must not have it should not have been possible. So please share about your planning.
Okay. First of all, my initial plan to give the GRE was during Sem 5, because that is what my seniors advised me to do. Giving the GRE in Sem 5 gives you a lot of free time after for in Sem 5, Sem 6 to do many projects to develop your profile a lot. So initially the target was to give it in June, July last year, but I got busy in college activities. Once college begins, I'm a very highly active person in college. I participate in all kinds of events. I give it a lot of time in college, and I knew that if I decide to give GRE now, I'll have to put an end to that for the for that semester at least. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be proactive as much as I can. So I decided to give the GRE after the NSEM exams. So that would give me a nice window period in which I could focus completely on the GRE while there was no college. Uh, in Mumbai University colleges, generally before the exam begins, there is a about a 10-day gap, 10-day holidays, and during the exams, before every exam, you get 6 days of holidays or 5 days of holidays to prepare for that exam. So that was a huge window period, and I felt that I never studied more than 2 days for any exam. I guess most of the Indian students don't. every day it is not easy to open your book and study every day. But GRE studies are a lot more different than college studies, I feel, because GRE involves logic to a much greater extent than college studies do. There is a lot of logical analysis, there is a lot of learning new things which are not kind of there in your curriculum at all. So it was a bit refreshing in a way. For example, on 20th, if I had an exam, on 18th, 19th, I prepared for that exam. On 20th, I gave that exam for college operating systems. I guess first exam was. I studied for it very hard, and then I gave the exam, and then I had four days for the next exam. So in that first 2 days, I entire day I sat on my PC and solved questions on GRE. The rest of the time, I did, I guess. During the entire GRE preparation time, every week I used to watch one movie, one good movie, IMDb top 250 and stuff like that, because I felt they gave me some inspiration to keep going constantly and continue the progress. Movies help me to stay inspired to prepare well in a way. So every morning, if I get up and I don't study for GRE, I used to feel bad in one and a half hour. So I used to open the app, start solving a few questions. On one particular day, I was not in a good state of mind. I think there might have been some issue. I don't remember right now, but my predictor score on that day was 314, and on had so many questions wrong in quants initially that my quants predicted score dropped from 162 to 145. So all of my questions were going wrong because I was not actually paying attention properly. In GRE, it matters a lot that you pay attention to each and every word in the question, because each and every word has the ability to twist the question in a way that the answer would change. So I guess being in the right state of mind is very important for your GRE preparation. Which mock were you giving? Again, the Galvanize app. The Galvanize app gives you constant stats as to where you stand. What is your predicted score right now? What is your predicted score for the final GRE if you keep going like that? Then that is why the predicted score kind of mattered to me a lot during the entire preparation. That predicted score kept me going, that today I am at 314, I have to get to 316 by the end of the day. I have to solve enough questions and I have to solve them correctly so that I get there. I raise myself to that level. That is how it was every day. And I guess just I kept doing that for those 45 days. For the initial 15 days, at least, it was most of the time on the app, and on the website, I gave time, I guess, from evening 6 to 10. But the rest of the time, it was I was on the app, I was solving questions constantly. Then, for the last 30 days of the prep, I guess it was becoming more and more mock test oriented. Galvanize gives you 5 mock tests, and when you register for the GRE, ETS gives you 2 mock tests. So the mock tests of Galvanize are in fact, I would say, just slightly tougher than the actual GRE, and they help you perfectly realize your score in GRE. My first mock test was, I think, on December 3rd or 4th, somewhere in that time, and my score was 322. 322, 166 in quants. So after the test, it is recommended on Galvanize that you give 45 to 50 minutes to just analyze your mistakes. So after each test, I used to analyze that this question I did wrong, I did this particular mistake. Then this question I did this silly mistake. So it goes from strength to strength like that. I guess one 166 and 156 in verbal. So my initial predicted verbal scores were actually a lot higher than my actual final verbal score, because towards the end my verbal preparation was slid off the rails. And verbal preparation require a lot more concentration, I would say, because initially I used to solve RCs and it used to take me a lot of time. A lot of time. I used to end up reading the RCs 3 or 4 times, still unable to answer a particular question in the RCs. So for the RCs, I had to improve one thing which my father advised me to do. I started meditating 5 days, 5 minutes every day. So 5 days into my preparation, I started meditating to improve my score in RCs, because concentration matters a lot. You have to focus on each and every word, because each and every word again has the ability to twist the answer completely. So you have to be very alert and attentive while reading the passage. So with concentration, I began to notice that one reading is in the end enough to answer most of the RC questions. Reading the passage thoroughly once, even if it takes 2.5, 3 minutes, you can answer 3 questions with that. That is a lot. So again, overcoming silly mistakes is only because of that mastering control. By not repeating those silly mistakes, once I see a silly mistake that I did not multiply here by 2 when I should have. In permutation and combination, many times I noticed this mistake that two objects are together, and we have two objects have to be kept together, and we have to group 7 objects. And I used to do it 6 factorial and then forget to multiply the two into two to account for the two objects being together. So such silly mistakes used to happen a lot and many times initially, but it is when you begin to realize what kind of silly mistakes you are repeating, because it is again different from person to person. Yeah, many people keep no, there was no error log as such, because if you see a particular type of question, then you notice that okay, this is the mistake I made in that question. Whenever I see another question of this kind, I am never repeating that mistake. If you make that mental note in your head and you're completely aware of it during that time, I don't think you need to be reminded with an error log as such. Your brain is enough to do that. But again, you have to be attentive enough to pinpoint your mistakes, because suppose you solved a question and you forgot the method you used to solve that question. Again, most of the times it does not happen, but if it does happen with you, I guess it is an issue you need to rectify. You need to remember what method you are using to solve a question. You need to have a track of the rough work that you did on that particular test. So for every test, I used to have a fresh page for rough work, and I could see that this is the question I solved in this region. Okay, here I forgot to multiply by 2, here I forgot to subtract 3. Such silly mistakes you see, and you realize that my brain does such kind of mistakes when I'm in a hurry. And you rectify those mistakes in that particular time. In the future, I don't think you might repeat it once more, maybe, but after that, it gets stuck in your head. The same question, it comes again, you're not going to repeat that mistake. It's about solving as many questions of a particular type as you can to avoid any mistakes.
This actually gives us an idea, that this could be one of the features of maintaining an error log. Probably we could suggest this to the development team so that if most of us if
Yeah,
most of you want to see it, then probably that should be one of the features.
I guess there is already a error log for mock tests. After every mock test, Galvanize gives you a customized report.
Quote.
The course managers actually go through your entire test, and they give you a detailed analysis that these are the mistakes you made, these are the kind of mistakes that you have been making, and those are actually very good as logs to see. uh, I actually used to feel ashamed after seeing those particular mistakes in quants, and as time progressed, I used in the final test I was able to rectify every mistake, and I saw that section clear, and I felt very happy that there was no mistake in that particular quant section. Any silly mistakes were not there.
Great. So now coming to the journey with Galvanize part. So this is one of the eager. This makes me eager to ask you, how was your journey with Galvanize, and how did you first get to know about Galvanize test prep?
Galvanized test prep, I would say in June last year, I talked to my senior and he told me to study words from Play Store. I can download any app and study words. So that is when I got to know about the Galvanized vocabulary app. And from there, I started practicing questions on the vocab app. Uh, I didn't know much about Galvanize, but seeing my progress on the vocab app, they might have contacted me. Uh, I guess around September or August or September, Pragat from Galvanize contacted me, I remember, and he asked me to enroll for particular courses. At that time, I was unsure about it. Then I read some reviews on Quora about Galvanize. I tried the platform once. I tried the apps, and then I was able to make a decision that I'll enroll for Galvanize for 45 days. I'll try out, and I actually enrolled about 2 months before even because I knew I had to prepare for GRE, and at some point I'm going to start my preparation. So, and I guess at that GRE was about to be implemented, so the rates were going to increase, and I actually ended up taking admission early.
So we
Uh,
on the platform we offer a lot of features, Murli. Like you must have seen the courses, a personalized study plan,
yeah,
places where you can interact with the course managers, or you can talk to the
yeah.
subject expert. You can also get your doubts clarified. So, which of these features did you like the most at Galvanize Test Prep?
The customized study plan, definitely the customized study plan, because as I've written here, it removes the burden of what to study next. Because when you're studying for any exam, after a point of time, you end up asking yourself this question: that what do I study next? What am I lacking at? What am I doing well at? And Galvanize gives you the answer right there in your study plan. The homepage is the study plan. It keeps on showing that these are the things you need to focus on, these are the things you need to study right now so you can improve. So that helped a lot in preparing for the exam as such. But in the end, I feel it was more or less about practicing. Galvanize gave me the right amount of practice for each and every chapter through the study plan. I followed the quant study plan at least very well. The verbal study plan I did not follow completely, or at least the vocabulary part I did not follow completely. That reflects on my verbal score, so I won't talk much about the verbal score maybe. Yeah, galvanizedesperate.com. You can visit and you can see the platform. You can see for yourself the customized study plan and how it helps you. The analytics again. After each test, as I said, you get a detailed report that how you performed on that test, what kind of a mistake you might have made on a particular verbal question, on a particular quants question. You get that detailed analytics, and it is there for you to see anytime you want. It is on your email. Then there were many helpful emails Galvanize sent over the period of time. One of it was the advice for passport again. Pragat from Galvanize gave me this advice that I should get the passport even before booking the date. That was very helpful. Actually, on the GRE day, I went to the center and I found out that one person was not allowed to enter because he did not have a passport. He was arguing with them that he had a driving license, he had an Aadhaar card, but passport is mandatory for GRE. And if you don't have a passport and you plan to give GRE, you should get your passport made first and foremost. So thanks Pragat a lot for that. And I guess
Happy
the
to.
course managers helped a lot because they were in touch with me all the time. They had this separate WhatsApp group for me. Murli 45, its name was, because I had enrolled for a 45-day plan, and they kept on telling me to practice on the days that I was not practicing on, or and they kept on solving my doubts throughout the silliest doubts. I had doubts like which colleges should I shortlist, which colleges are good for MIS and stuff like that. They were there to answer my questions all the time. I guess once or twice there were some issues with the platform, and they were able to rectify it immediately. So if you have any issue, you have that WhatsApp group you can contact on. So that actually helped a lot. Having someone to answer my doubts anytime I want. They arrange for sessions with verbal analyst Ram Sharma, I think. Yeah. So Ram helped me a lot with my verbal preparation. I was actually in a very panic state of mind towards the end regarding verbal, and Ram helped me calm down and he helped me realize that I'm capable of scoring 155, 157 at least very easily. And yeah, uh, that entire period was very helpful. That group was very helpful.
Sure. So actually, whenever we before this webinar got started, I spoke to your course managers, and they were all like, uh, telling me that you were so focused and you strictly follow like as for quant plan, you strictly followed it, and it showed in the result. And Samyama was very happy about your score. Apart from that, I have a short surprise now. Okay, so I have one special person whom you've been mentioning during this session. So I have Pragat along with me. So he just came in to
Yeah,
wish.
nice. Hi, Pragat.
Hi Murli, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking me to enroll with Galvanize.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Uh, it
So,
helped me have this nice journey.
okay, so I'm happy that one of my students got 170 in quant. So it's really great, and you achieved in a very short time. So that's really great.
Yeah,
So all the best, Murli, for your that is your future. Okay, so
So his dream university is Carnegie Mellon University.
okay,
So probably we should
yeah,
all wish him to get into that.
yes, we all wish him to get into that, and I'm also happy to help you on that too. Okay, so
yeah, thank you. Thanks, Pragat.
okay, yeah, thank you, Murli.
Yeah. Uh, Ashutosh has a detailed question. Ashutosh, I read your question. Uh, I guess I was a part of that IIT JEE bandwagon a long time ago, I guess. I actually dropped out a year to again give the JEE and get a good college, get into IITs. I ended up getting a 11,000 rank in JEE Advanced, which was not enough to get into any IIT. So I know precisely how you feel that attitude of rote learning for logical reasoning and aptitude. I guess it was there at that time. It is still prevalent a lot, but I guess even with that attitude, you have to admit that the IIT JEE journey helps you to actually do very well in quants in particular. because it ensures that your maths up till 10th standard is pitch perfect. You don't need to improve anything after that. So, uh, I guess that is the part of the JWE that was very helpful for me for GRE, that all my bases were covered completely. I just had to revise each and every kind of question. I had to revise each and every small formula, uh, the various formulas in geometry, the various laws. Then I had done them thoroughly in the past. In 10th standard also my maths was very good, so that was never an issue of there was never an issue of not knowing what to do in a question. The issue was always a particular silly mistake which used to ruin that question completely. So again, you can get rid of that thing thoroughly by practicing as many questions as you want, as many questions as you can, because as I said, after solving 500 to 600 questions, that is when my accuracy had begun to peak. So I guess after the before the 500 questions, my accuracy on the Galvanize app was 75%, close to 75%, and after 900 questions, the accuracy was 88%. So you can calculate the number of questions I did correctly after the first 500 questions. So you'll realize that the silly mistakes keep on reducing as you do more and more questions. That is the only thing I would say.
It will become like something like your muscle memory, something that you automatically avoid while you actually exam. I mean, when you solve a lot of problems, it retains in your memory and you automatically avoid it. That's brilliant. Um, now that you've spoken a lot about your preparation, like this is all for that one day, 4.5 hour exam. You have to sit through that one day and you have to see the score with your eyes, and you have. I mean, it would be a totally different exam day for the GRE. And how did you feel on the day of the exam, Murli?
Uh, on the day of the exam, I was actually very nervous regarding my verbal preparation, because I was because in the last two tests, as I said, I gave a total of seven tests. Throughout the seven tests, my verbal score had varied from 156, 157, 159, then back to 154, 155, and then in the last two ETS tests, I got 151 and 152. And in both of those ETS tests, I got a full score of 170 in quants. So regarding quants, I was actually not worried at all, because the ETS tests, I had read about it that the ETS tests are just slightly easier than the actual GRE quants, and I was able to do the quant section of both of those tests in on a, I guess 16-17 minutes were enough. I never required the entire 35-minute period to do the quant section. So on the exam day as well, I was not very worried regarding the quant section. The major issue was my verbal section. So the entire day, I was actually the entire day before the exam, I was actually preparing, looking at words, as many words as I can, mugging them up in a way. I'm not very good at mugging up. That is clear on my GRE score. Uh, and on the exam morning, the center is a bit far from my place, so I had to travel about 1.5 hour. During the entire journey, I was constantly reading AWA essays. So the AWA essays were from random websites. I guess I don't remember any website right now. I just Googled AWA questions for GRE, and I got questions along with essays. And in a section, there were only questions. There were only topics given, and I began to frame the essays for those particular topics in my head. When I reached the center, The center was actually quite crowded. There were many people there to give that test on that day. As I said, I witnessed an argument. There was a heated argument. That person was arguing that he should be allowed to the admit give the exam just because he has the driving license or he has the Aadhaar card. But the people at ETS were trying to people at the center were trying to convince him that it was I think the Prometric Test Center. Yes, I remember the name now. Prometric Test Center. Uh, the people there were actually asking him to uh, convincing him that passport is the only mandatory identity card accepted there. So identity proof accepted there. So after seeing that argument, I realized that I'm actually quite lucky. I actually applied for the passport, and I began to think about last 2 3 months, and I realized I should calm down. Before the exam, you're asked to sit in a particular section with all the other students and fill out your details on a form. So I filled them out completely, and I just sat there and started to meditate. As I said, it helps me calm down a lot. Uh, Removing each and every thought from your head helps you clear things out. So before the exam, doing that helped me in writing a decent enough essay, I think. Uh, at the test centers, the security is very very high. You're not allowed to take anything inside, so it is better to, in fact, prepare for the exams in a similar way with just a pencil and a paper and giving the tests on your computer. That is what I had practiced thoroughly, and that is what I was prepared for. So that helped me a lot on that day. The essays, the exam environment is very tense. Everyone starts to type essays, and you can hear keyboards everywhere, people typing rapidly as fast as they can, putting all their thoughts on that screen. So the initial hour or so is very tense because the essays are like that. But after that, I had three quant sections and two verbal sections. So I was very relieved that I don't have to solve many verbal questions because I enjoy doing quants a lot more.
You should be
Um,
very
each
lucky.
quant uh, In quant sections, I would say 35 minutes are given to solve each section, and as people mentioned that the test is adaptive. So, but it is section-wise adaptive. The questions don't get tougher gradually in a particular section. The entire section is of a particular difficulty, then the next section is of a particular difficulty. So my quants one was the easiest. I was able to solve quants one in, I guess, 17 minutes, 16 minutes. And after those 16 minutes, I actually spent 10 minutes redoing each and every question, ensuring that there is no mistake in the quant section because that is my forte. I have to do that as well as I can. And in verbal, again, I was short of time. I was short of my vocabulary was very poor, and the verbal section did not go very well. At least the first verbal section, and the second verbal section got easier. As I said, the test is adaptive. If you don't do well on a particular section, the next time that section comes out to be easier. Yes, passport is essential for test entry. You are not allowed to enter the test center without passport. Everyone should know that. Uh, the quant sections kept on getting tougher and tougher, but they were still not very tough. I feel that the GRE quant section was the galvanized quant section was actually a bit more tougher than the GRE final quant section also. So galvanized tests are actually more than enough for your quants preparation. Regarding verbal preparation, I'm not a very good person to give advice because I did not do verbal myself very well enough.
So please share some GRE prep tips for last minute tips for all our audience today, Murli.
Okay, for last minute preparation tips, I can't say much because uh, I only have a few particular tips that I've written. You have to start doing improving your vocabulary 6 months prior to the exam. You have to uh, a great way to do that would be to learn few new words and then try to incorporate them in your AWA essays. So if you start practicing vocabulary and AWA essays simultaneously 6 months before the exam, on the exam day you won't have anything to worry about in at least verbal section or in AWA section, because that would give you a lot of practice. And GRE, I guess, in the end is a lot about practice. If you have practiced well enough, no one can stop you from getting a perfect score. For last minute tips, I would recommend that for quants at least, uh, refer to various formula apps or formula books. Maintain a formula book. Maintain a book containing various formulas, various equations, um, like basic a plus b the whole cube, a plus b the whole raised to 4, a plus b the whole raised to n, basic expansions like that. Maintain a sheet of that. I had already made a sheet of such equations in my JE prep, and I used the same sheet again. So that sheet was actually more than enough to know all the formulae that are there in the exam. So you won't be in a situation where you don't know the formula for a particular question. Regarding permutation and combination, I would say uh, there are very particular cases. Each question belongs to a particular category. So you can memorize particular formulas for such special case questions. Uh, that will help you a lot in giving enough time for everything. And for last minute prep and vocabulary, uh, find out a list of words that you can remember, that you can uh, learn very well, and it will hopefully help you out in the exam. That's it.
I have shared the free mobile apps, Galvanize apps with all of you. You can install the apps and you can start initiate your preparations. And only here is a surprise, and I have a rapid fire questions round. I have 10
Okay.
questions. You have to answer them very quickly.
Okay.
Okay? So the first question is your GRE experience in one word. GRE day,
Amazing.
amazing. 170 in GRE Quant, how did you feel in one word?
I can't use the same word again.
Okay, the
Amazing.
galvanized journey in another one word.
Informative.
Toughest verbal section.
Uh, RCs. RCs.
Toughest word that you can recall.
I can't recall any right now.
Okay.
Aplomb, I would say APLOMB.
Okay. So do you remember the meaning?
I don't remember. That's why it's the toughest word, I think.
Favorite quant topic.
Probability.
Wow. Your role model.
My role model right now would be my mom and dad, and a few of my seniors. That's it.
Great. Who would you dedicate your success to?
My mom.
He'll be very happy. If you're given another chance to take the GRE in just 3 days, what would you focus on?
Vocabulary. Entire time for vocabulary, nothing else.
Which university would you want to hear from?
CMU. No doubt. U wash is also good enough.
Sure. So I'm sure you're done, and the rapid fire questions is they're over. So this was a
Okay,
great
nice.
session. And as Murli said, we have the best course material on our platform. Uh, our material that we use here is actually more than sufficient for your GRE, and especially for quant, most of our most of our students, when they take the GRE exam, they get back to us and they tell us that the actual questions, like they got some of the questions from our course material on the GRE as well. And since the mock tests on the platform were very challenging, the actual GRE was actually less challenging to them. Is what a feedback that we get from most students. So I'm sure that we will be able to simulate the actual GRE for you so that you will definitely head towards your target score, and there's no doubt in it. And we have a lot of technology backup which will ensure that you're going towards your target score, just like your personalized feedback report, and just like the analysis of the test performances that we give. We can make sure that you're moving towards your target score, and we can help you in achieving your target score. So people who choose the first option, you will be getting a call from Galvanize experts who will be guiding you with your study plan, or they'll be telling you what course will be ideal for you, how much time you should spend each day to reach your target score. And if you are struggling to set a target score or anything else, they'll also help you with that. And if you need help with date booking or anything, any support that you want, you will get from our experts here. Just like how Pragat reminded or told Murli that passport is one of the most essential documents that you should have. There could be something that might miss your eye. There'll be nothing that our experts miss. So you can definitely get back to them at any point that you want, and we'll be happy to help you. So this session was a brilliant session, and I've noted down all the questions that all of you have posted, and some of them were already answered by Murli during the session. And I'll be answering them one on one personally, and we'll be sending it to you in a mail. And we will be posting this recording on Facebook and YouTube. So you can follow the Facebook page, you can like the Facebook page so that you get this recording immediately as it is posted, so that you can refer it in future if you want to. Okay, so thank you all for attending this session. We are approaching the end of this session, and I would like to thank Murli for sharing a lot of tips and techniques. And I actually admire the way he planned his entire preparation very well. I think that is something that all of
Thanks
us
a lot.
should learn from him. So thanks for that, Murli. It was a brilliant session with you.
Yeah, you're welcome. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all for joining us today and for making this session very interactive and for making this evening very special for all of us. All the best for your GRE preparations, and for those who have started the preparations, or for those who are yet to start the preparations, I wish you good luck. Start your preparations, reach your target scores, and your dream university successfully. Thank you for joining us.